Hello everyone, I'm Mike DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Uncharted 2, Among Thieves by Naughty Dog. If you have a PlayStation 3 and you've played Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, you've likely been anxiously awaiting the sequel, Among Thieves. If you have a PlayStation 3 and you haven't played the first game, pause this video, go out, buy or rent it, play it, beat it, and come back. It's okay, I'll wait. Done? Good. Chances are you enjoyed the game immensely, and are fixing for more Nathan Drake. The first game was terrific for a lot of reasons. The graphics, the dialogue, the scenery, the plot, they all added up to make something that could have passed as a movie in the same veins as Indiana Jones and National Treasure. It also had terrific music and fun gameplay, along with enough reasons to go back and play it a second time. But if you think the first Uncharted was as good as it gets, think again. The story of Uncharted 2 begins sometime in the year following the first game. Drake is no longer searching for any profound treasure, but instead is just taking it easy at a bar on some random beach. Two fellow thieves confront our hero and tell him that they want to involve him in a heist at a museum in Istanbul, which catapults the story into the major plot point, finding the hidden city of Shangri-La, as well as the immensely powerful artifact that the ancient city is rumored to hide. The actual game begins in medias res. You have no concept of what has caused the story to progress to this point, but we first reunite with Drake within a pretty hectic scenario. The game does a good job of turning even this brief tutorial stage into a piece of art, and even though the game has only just begun by this point, you still feel anxious to get to safe ground. While Uncharted has enough style, fancy artwork, and well-written dialogue to be a movie, it is first and foremost a video game. And however you want to look at it, as a game or a cinematic piece of art, the product shines from beginning to end. The pacing doesn't usually slow down from that nerve-wracking opening, leading you into fights with armed Russians, museum guards, supernatural creatures, and even helicopters and tanks. None of the combat situations in the game ever get around to feeling stale, each of the action segments having some kind of hook that progresses the game while still maintaining a sense of entertainment.
Maybe we should cut over to the hotel a different way. Just avoid this crew altogether. I'm sorry, do you have a plan to go along with that grenade?
Combat against normal enemies is roughly unchanged from the first game. You still search for cover and have the opportunity to cautiously pick away at your enemies, one bullet at a time. But Naughty Dog has done a good job of polishing up the already glimmering experience from Among Thieves' predecessor. You can now blind fire at your enemies from behind cover, giving you a safer way to confront close-up enemies, or toy with your luck and try to take out faraway opponents. They also touched up the grenade mechanics. You no longer have to actively select grenades as your weapon, nor do you use the spotty 6-axis controls to lob an explosive, instead using the L2 button to plan the throw. You can also hot lob a grenade while in gunplay, which usually delivers the grenade right where you want it. For those who want more of a chance to embrace a stealthy encounter, it seems that Uncharted 2 delivers for that experience as well. The enemies no longer feel supernatural with their senses, and you can often wipe out entire groups of opponents without them turning to fire on you. As for the climbing and jumping mechanics, they still seem a little iffy from time to time, but you won't run into enough problems that you'll be consciously upset with them. The biggest problem is that sometimes the path isn't very obvious to the player, but with patience you'll eventually find your way. Just like Drake's Fortune, Among Thieves has an incredible style that complements the substance of the game well. The game does a terrific job of establishing breathtaking wide shots of entire cities, and the team spent enough time to pay attention to details so that nothing seems stale throughout the title. The cutscenes are handled remarkably well and are probably the biggest reason that the game is compared to a movie so much. My only problem with the visual presentation of the game is a minor complaint. For some reason, the characters in Uncharted 2 seem to have eyes that shine with an unnatural glass marble kind of feel. Other than that, though, the game is pristine. The sounds of Uncharted 2 also lend themselves to the experience with flawless technique, whether it is the ambiance of the locale, the gunplay and frantic noises of combat, or the witty, clever dialogue. I found myself responding to the game with an array of emotions, and nearly all of them could be equated at least in part due to the sound. One thing that the game does well, which I can't stress enough, is humor the player. Drake and his companions are presented like real people, and their actions, words, and manner of speech are so realistic that believing the story is not a difficult thing to do at all. If there was any reason that you needed to convince you to invest in an HD TV or a surround sound system, let that reason be Uncharted 2.
Okay.
One of the great things about Uncharted 2 is the depth of content that Naughty Dog filled the game with. The developers have said that they wanted to add even more to the game, but they ended up filling a 25 gig single-layer Blu-ray disc to the brim. This is apparent in both the collectible treasures you can find during your epic journey, as well as in the unlockables of the game, with features such as extra skins for your character, different rendering modes, and subtle tweaks like infinite ammo, slow motion, and so forth. However, the real crown jewel of Uncharted 2's extra features is its multiplayer content. I haven't had enough experience to clearly define how good the multiplayer is in Uncharted 2, but it has received a good amount of positive feedback. Look for That's Entertainment's Among Thieves multiplayer review in the future. Naughty Dog once again comes forward and shows what a finished product can look like when it is carefully and meticulously crafted. They also played up the fan service, and veterans of the series will be happy with the many nods to the first release. While Uncharted 2 is not flawless, the gripes are minuscule at best and are hardly punishable offenses. Other developers can take a look at Naughty Dog for guidance, as games like Among Thieves clearly push the boundaries of gaming. My biggest complaint is that the next outing as Nathan Drake will not come soon enough. If you have a PlayStation 3, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves should be part of your collection. Uncharted deserves the best score available, 10 out of 10.